Welcome to the Underdog Pick'em Show on the LineStar YouTube channel alongside my co-host, Tyler Wiemann. I'm Shannon Sommerville, and we've got your top 5 NFL player picks for Week 15. Some great games on the slate, a lot of playoff implications on the line here, but we've got some great picks for you. Just to recap, last week, Tyler, we might be on the naughty list after last week because we were just 2-2 on our player picks. Just recapping our entry, George Pickens did not play, unfortunately, and it's looking like he's going to be out again this week. That's unfortunate. Also unfortunate, the fact that James Cook put up just 29 rushing receiving yards against the Rams. That was super disappointing against a Rams defense that really hadn't been able to stop the run much this season, but they were last week, except for the exception, I guess. When Josh Allen's on your team doing all the rushing for you, you don't quite clear your over on rushing yards. But Chuba Hubbard also crushed it, unfortunately. Tyler, your pick, though, George Kittle higher than 53.5 receiving yards, crushed 151 for Kittle. MVS had 51 receiving yards. So our 2 picks cash. Let's see if we can't bounce back this week in week 15 with a lot of really great games on the slate. As always, we're using the PropsAI tool in the LineStar app to help us find the best value. We have a tab specifically for underdogs. So it's a great tool that can really help you pick the best player picks for the week. So let's get right into it and start things off with the Steelers-Eagles game in a battle of the Keystone State. We're going to go with Najee Harris, higher than 54.5 rushing yards. LineStar's projection here and the consensus are on our side. He's been over 7 of the last 8 games, going up against a pretty good Philadelphia Eagles rush defense. However, the previous 5 RB1s have been over. Hubbard, we just faded that spot, and it backfired on us. 92 rush yards for him. Henry had 82. Kyron had 72. Brian Robinson had 63 and Dowdle had 53. So I think Harris can definitely get it done, especially when you consider the style of play that the Steelers roll into each week with. They just try to grind out time of possession, and just kind of like suffocate teams into submission. What's your take on this one?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Pittsburgh is going to essentially play a game of keep away, just trying to keep it away from that Philadelphia offense. And the way to do that is to control the ball and run the ball. And another thing that I think is interesting, if you look at our team defense tool, over the last 10 games, Philly is 3rd versus RB1. But if you look over the last 5, they jump up to 15th. So lately, they've been a little bit more of an average run D than, above average what they've been on for the rest of the season.
And this is a game that has some implications in it. Pittsburgh can clinch a playoff spot with a win in this game. Eagles are already in it, but they've got some implications as well, as they could clinch the NFC East. They have to win, and the Commanders have to lose or tie. All right, let's go to another game with playoff implication. The Texans can clinch this week with a win plus an Indianapolis Colts loss. So let's go to their stud running back, Joe Mixon, higher than 18.5 receiving yards. LineStar and the consensus on our side here, averaging just over 24 receiving yards per game. And this is a line that Mixon's cleared 7 of the last 10 games. Miami is kind of average 12th in pass defense DVOA versus opposing teams' running backs. We just saw 2 Jets running backs clear this pretty easily. Braylon Allen had 38 receiving yards and Isaiah Davis had 27. The week prior, we saw Green Bay Packers running back Josh Jacobs put up 74 receiving yards. I think Mixon can get it done here. How about you, Tyler?
Yeah, so over the last 4 games, Miami's been actually pretty tough against the run, only allowing 65.3 yards per game to the running back. That's on the ground. That's rushing. But through the air, they're allowing 5.5 receptions, 55.3 receiving yards over the last 4. So with that, it favors the Mixon passing game involvement more than his running game involvement. He's going to be involved both ways for sure, as he is every game. But I just think that he's probably going to have a little more success through the air in this spot. So I like it. And over the last 5 games, Miami is actually the 3rd best receiving matchup for RBs this week.
All right, let's go. On the other side of that matchup, the Miami Dolphins, they're still in the playoff hunt in this one. And how about their tight end, Jonnu Smith? He's been putting up some numbers for fantasy owners, even though he entered into overtime last week against the Jets with 0 fantasy points and ended up having the game-winning touchdown. I'm still not bitter about it or anything, but Jonnu Smith, we're going to him this week, higher than 44.5 receiving yards. The LineStar projection and the consensus like this one as well. And this is a number that Smith's gone over 8 of the last 13 games, averaging 53 receiving yards per game. Now, he is going up against a Houston defense that's been a little tricky against tight ends, specifically in the pass defense DVOA stat. But like I mentioned, this is a guy they try to get involved when the game is on the line like they did last week against the Jets. I could see him having a big game in this one, but it's a tricky spot. What's your impression of Jonnu Smith's projection for his receiving yards?
Well, the thing is that Houston runs a ton of zone, and with that, I think that Jonnu is just going to get his looks. Tyreek is a man beater, and in zone coverage, Waddle typically from years prior has been the one that you want to target, but this year it's kind of shifted to Jonnu Smith. I think he's also a little bit more consistent than the other guys so far this year. This offense is moving the ball. I think they're going to have to throw for versus Houston. So I like the spot. And Houston's 23rd versus the tight end over the last 10 and 29th versus the tight end over the last 5, giving up 53.2 yards per game. That's what Jonnu's averaging. And Houston is giving up 75 yards per game over the last 4.
All right. That's a good spot for me to target there. So those are our top 3. We're using that PropsAI tool on the LineStar app. Now it's time for Tyler and I to give our best picks for week 15. Tyler, both of us were right last week, so let's see if we can't do it once again this week. What you got?
I got to go to one of the best wide receivers in the game, and that is CeeDee Lamb, higher than 64.5 receiving yards. Our LineStar projection, 77.2. Consensus, 73.2. Carolina is 16th versus the wide receiver 1 on our team defense tool. But if you look at, the yards allowed and all that type of stuff, they're actually, it shows they're pretty good. But what that really breaks down to is that nobody has to pass versus them. Everybody has just been running the ball over them. This is a spot that Carolina is actually favored. Yes,
I know.
Carolina
Crazy.
is favored. Carolina just hung with Philadelphia, Tampa Bay, and KC. They are playing well right now. I think this game is likely close. Dallas going to continue to have to throw all game. And with that, you have a CeeDee Lamb line of 64. I just think it's way too low. He's going to get a ton of targets. Let's go over.
I mean, I totally understand how the line could be lower given the fact that CeeDee Lamb is dealing with Cooper Rush as his quarterback, but I still think that is too low for a player of his caliber. Just get him the ball and he can do a lot with just a little bit, especially against this Carolina defense. And it is crazy. The game script is favoring the passing game for the Cowboys in this one, as the Cowboys are the underdogs in this one on the road in Carolina. I like the spot for CeeDee Lamb. For my pick, I'm going to my New York Jets this week, and Garrett Wilson higher than 60.5 receiving yards. I know some people are going to be relying on Garrett for a big week in fantasy, so we're rolling here with GW. LineStar and the consensus are with me on this projection. Averaging 67.5 receiving yards per game. We're talking about Garrett Wilson, the league's leader in targets, going up against a Jacksonville defense that is 32nd, dead last in pass defense DVOA versus opposing teams, wide receiver 1s. We just saw him torch the Miami defense for 114 receiving yards. Also, listen to this stat, 19 forced missed tackles after the catch. Garrett Wilson has the most in the league alongside Bucky Irving and Khalil Shakir. He's got some yards after the catch moves. I love the spot here for Garrett Wilson in a fantasy-friendly matchup. I hope he clears the receiving yards line, but also hopefully he wins some people some fantasy leagues. Just saying. I know this is a big week for fantasy. Are you in any of your playoffs, Tyler?
I'm in one of 2, and I have a bye this week, so I'm just cruising, picking up my legs and relaxing.
So those are our top 5 on Underdog. We are putting together an entry, and if we go 5-0, one randomly selected commenter will win $100. Basically, we put our money where our mouth is on this show, and so if we win, we like to reward one of our randomly selected commenters. We'll announce that on next week's show, but to be in The mix for it, you've got to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below. Got to be in it to win it. And if you've got any absolute locks for this week in the player picks department, please drop them below. We're always trying to help each other out and beat the books. A lot of you guys have really dropped some winners over the last couple of weeks, and we so appreciate that. So keep them coming, and good luck in week 15 on Underdog. Again, if you don't have Underdog yet, download it. Use the promo code LineStar so you can get a nice deposit match plus 1 free month of the LineStar app, which, by the way, could be a great gift for someone this holiday season. Just saying. Good luck, everybody. We'll see you guys next time.